I've seen 5,500 CVs in that time. 300 people have gone through our program. Over 100 businesses have been launched. So to try and answer your question about what makes a successful entrepreneur, I think there are 3 or 4 things. And the first is an absolute desire and passion to want to do something. Some people want to change the world. Some people want to make an impact. Some people want to make a lot of money. Whatever it is, if you haven't got the passion and the drive to do that, you're not going to get off the first step. The second thing is resilience. You're not going to succeed the first time around. In fact, which James Dyson says in his book, that he created over 5,000 prototypes before he hit on the winning formula for the very successful vacuum cleaner of his. I think successful entrepreneurs have the resilience to fail, to get up, to learn from the failure and carry on and relaunch again. So resilience is really important in light of failure. The third thing is credibility, and that's credibility in being able to being persuasive enough and credible enough to take your staff with you, take your investors with you, your customers who are buying your products or services. And that kind of credibility, I think people build over time. And the people I work with are very, very young. They're in their 20s. And I keep saying, you will build credibility over time. And the fourth, and there are many, many things I've seen in successful entrepreneurs, is an ability to connect with people. So relationship building. You're going to need help from a lot of people throughout your career, throughout your life, and people who can connect with people generally become more successful.
So congratulations, Bindi, on being listed as a pioneer here today. And of all the pioneers on this list, you probably nurtured the most number of startups. So what, in your opinion, excites you, or what is it about the tech ecosystem that's really great today?
Well, I think it's 2019, and I've been involved in this ecosystem longer than I care to mention. And what I think is amazing is that it is now seen as viable to leave university or not go to university and actually set up a business. And actually, entrepreneurship is a viable path. And back when I started, it wasn't. I think a lot of people were still doing MBAs and, banking or finance or accounting. Or law, whatever it was, but now actually it's a viable path. And for me, technology and entrepreneurship is just great to see that. And again, personally, something I'm so passionate about, so it's nice to see it's finally mainstream.
And we know that you're an advisor and a mentor to a number of startups. I guess, what common mistakes do you see founders making in the early stages of their ventures?
I think underestimating how long it really takes to get to a level that they need to get to. And actually underestimating the roller coaster that it is as well. It is, as many highs as many lows. And, because I'm running my own business as well, you don't really understand how difficult it can be to really become successful. So I think it's like an iceberg. So you see the people that are successful, but actually there's all the stuff going on underneath that you really have to get through. Yeah. And I think people probably underestimate how much work that takes. But then the other thing is to not quit, because I know lots of folks who've hit the almost valley of death in their company, but they just believed in the company and the product and the vision so much that they managed to keep it going. So like a week away from not being able to pay your staff salary, they still managed to keep going. So the ultimate ability to hustle on behalf of the folks who are running these amazing tech startups.
If you could go back and advise your younger self about business, what would you say to yourself?
What I would say is actually it's the importance of networking, and it's the importance of don't burn bridges. I've learned through my career that actually the people who I first worked with have actually had a dramatic effect on my career later on when you didn't actually realize it. So always network, but always never burn a bridge.
So you've created internships and Learnably. You're obviously a great serial entrepreneur. What skills do you need today to be a great entrepreneur?
So I think in terms of the skills that you need to be a great entrepreneur, first and foremost is tenacity. So I think it's very hard when you're starting your own venture and things are not always going to go to plan. So I think it's to have that resilience, to know that things are not always going to work out, but to remind yourself what is it that you're looking to achieve and to stick in there. And then there's lots of people out there to support you. So I'd really advise you to create a really strong network and get people to support you on your journey.
Well, tell us what the key ingredients are to creating a disruptive business like Spotify, Kayak, and Skype.
Great question. I don't think there's just one ingredient that makes a disruptive company. I think it's a combination of having a great team. That's pretty fundamental. Having a great product that appeals to the end customers. It's having great financial backing that allows you to build and grow the company. So it's several things that together make for a disruptive company.
So congratulations, Ashish, today.
Thank you.
As an investor in sort of deeper tech and scale-up type businesses, what are you looking for in a startup before you invest?
So the foundation of any company is the team. So first thing I look for is the team. So does the team have the expertise in the business that they are starting? Second, followed by is the technology, because we're technology investors. So we want to see how strong is the technology, and followed by the market. How big is the market, and is the problem big enough for this technology that they're developing? So these are three important criteria we look for when we're looking to invest in a business.
Congratulations, David, on your pioneering award today. So as a founder of a venture capital company yourself, what sort of ventures are you investing in right now?
So firstly, I'm obviously very grateful to be honored like this. I've known the team for quite some time, and as an Asian man myself, I'm very proud of this. So at Third Eye, we generally tend to invest in what is called Series A venture capital companies. So what that means is this is the first proper institutional money that's going into a startup. We only do tech and tech-enabled startups. We generally tend to write anywhere between $2 to $10 million checks. That's really our sweet spot. We are sector agnostic, but having said that, we tend to follow certain themes. So some of the themes we are following right now is genomics, for example. It's a big area of focus for us. Anything on the artificial intelligence side, but true artificial intelligence. On the machine learning side, much more on the development of it. So especially the health tech applications of it is something we are really looking at. It's a big area of focus for us. But if I were to distill it down, what we really are investing in is still high quality teams. That's really the benchmark for us. We invest in teams. Doesn't matter what the teams are doing. There are certain thematic focuses that we tend to look at, but it's team first and everything else comes after that. And that's generally our focus at Third Eye. And right now, while we are looking at Europe, we're also doing deals outside Europe. So we are covering much more than just Europe from our side. So in summary, you'd say classic Series A. We tend to do Series A. We tend to do Europe, but also now increasingly outside Europe. And we are doing, anything between $2 to $10 million checks as our initial entry ticket. And then the expectation is to follow on and then be very hands-on with our investing companies. Our motto is to be extremely hands-on.
Female entrepreneurship and the funding of female-founded businesses has certainly been in the spotlight recently. How do you think the UK could tackle some of the barriers to getting more women to set up businesses here?
Firstly, I think there is a real problem in that we don't have enough female entrepreneurs in the UK. We don't have female investors in the UK. We don't have enough female VCs. But the good news is there is a glimmer of change. There are a number of organisations that are addressing this issue. The government is as well. There are ways in which we're already doing things. So firstly, let's have more role models. Women look up to role models of people who've gone before them and have been successful. Let's have more, if you like, VCs committing to investing in female-led businesses. At the moment, I think it's less than 5% VC funding goes to, this might be a US stat. Create more opportunities for women to join and be confident in joining programs like ours, like NEF. We have 42% women in our current cohort, which is very high for a startup world. And I'm delighted, but I won't be happy until we have 50% women, or ideally 51%, because 51% of the world's population are women. So there is action, things are happening, which is really good, but we can always do more.
There's been lots of attention recently on female-led startups and females who are co-founding startups. What kind of things do you see as potential ways of overcoming the barriers to getting more women into tech at the moment?
I mean, that's a big question, right? I think, again in 2019, I see more and more women starting businesses because it's more mainstream, first of all. I think secondly, there's so many initiatives out there, so many corporates, so many VC funds, so many angel investors and the like are putting money into this, and there's a lot of research, insight, and data going into it. So I think there's a lot more encouragement in the marketplace. I think the place where there's an issue is there is a British Business Bank survey that said in about 2017, only 1% of female-only founded businesses were funded. And that needs to change. And so it's really about putting the call out to investors, get more women going through the deal room, and more importantly, mentor the women to grow businesses to a level that VCs tend to fund. So, in B, there's a distinct lack. And in B series, there's a distinct lack right now. But actually, there's so many women founders I'm seeing in seed and pre-seed and early stage that we've now got to grow them to the next level. So I think it's actually putting a lot more mentoring and support to that group of amazing women that's coming through. And again, I'm seeing so many initiatives popping up.
So you are one of the original tech entrepreneurs from Asia. Tell us how Chinesey came about and what you hope to achieve with the company.
Right. Chinesey came about because we see the upcoming Chinese superpower, and with 1.4 billion people speaking Chinese. But on the other hand, the Western world has very little understanding about the language, the culture, to make sure that we can have a healthy trade and also cultural exchange with different cultures. I think it's quite important for us to start with the language, and I saw that's a need to learn Chinese language and also the culture in a fun way.
So what's hot in property tech right now?
I mean, there's a couple of themes that are quite hot, as you say, in property tech, and themes that we're excited about as investors in prop tech. So one of them is ways in which AI can be leveraged to make property processes all the way from the entire life cycle of real estate more efficient. So it's new technologies emerging to make the property ecosystem more efficient, with AI being a key emphasis. I think another theme that is quite topical is retail. We all know that the high street in particular, is being disrupted by the advent of Amazon and other large online players. So we're very interested in seeing new retail tech technologies emerging to help retailers and retail property owners come forward with an omni-channel retail offering. We're also very interested in seeing new advances in construction tech, and so efficiencies that can help reduce the cost of construction and reduce the chances of construction delays and cost overruns. And one of the other themes that we're looking at is helping home buyers get on the housing ladder, and there's a number of new fintech, prop tech related new lending offerings that are coming to the market that enable young aspiring homeowners to own property in the UK and overseas.
So you spent most of your career in fintech. Where do you see the next innovations coming from in the fintech sector?
I think what we've been seeing is a general move from the supply side to the consumer side. So in the same way as you would say that touch screens suddenly meant that my child or my cat could start using services that they needed to have a typewriter to be able to use beforehand because the QWERTY keyboard came in the way. We're going to see banking move more into things that you use your senses to be able to do. And when I say that for banking, for everything that we do, we're going to land up with much more context-aware information, easier ways of being able to act on that information.